Hey guys, it's the middle of April. It is a beautiful day, about 65 degrees, sunny, and I'm going to take this opportunity to brew a batch of beer. In about 2 weeks, May will be here, hunting season, turkey season will be here, wine season. I'll be brewing 4 batches of Chilean and South African red wine. So I'm going to take this opportunity now to get a beer batch done so I can get it fermenting and out of the way of my wine process. So what I'm brewing today is a Scarborough Fair Saison. And this is a clone that I did about 10 years ago, and it came out pretty nice, so I want to do it again. This is a clone of a beer that was brewed in a conglomeration or commemorative batch between 3 breweries, Stone, Dogfish, and Victory. It was a pretty good beer. I liked it. Supposedly they've done some batches since 2010 when they first did it, but I've not been able to find them. So we're going to brew it up. It's a Saison farmhouse style ale, and it is flavored with rosemary, sage, parsley, and thyme. Hence the name Scarborough Fair, harkening back to the Simon and Garfunkel song. So, let's get brewing, baby. So this is the first step in the brewing process. I am steeping some cracked grains. They happen to be some Bryce Vienna malt that's been cracked, and that's going to steep in some 150 degree water for about 30 minutes. That's going to provide some mouthfeel and some character to the beer. Put the spent grains into the compost. Don't waste that. Okay, this is the first edition of the 3 pounds of dry malt extract. And this is going to be brought back to the boil, and we'll start our 60-minute beer boil. Shirachi Ace hops added to the boil. This is my second edition of dry malt extract. It's the majority of the malt, and it's at the 40-minute mark, and I put it in later in the boil to limit the amount of over caramelization of the malt. This is my second hop addition. After the wort came back to a boil after the second addition of dry malt, we're at the 20. This is my 20-minute hops for flavor, and this is Amarillo and the combination of fresh herbs: parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. With 15 minutes left in the boil, I'm adding a teaspoon of Irish moss. This will aid in the clarifying of the beer, help any solid particles to drop to the bottom. Now I've added my wort chiller to the brew. I've got 15 minutes left in the brew, and boil, even though it's cleaned, this is just a way that I sterilize it before the boil's done, and then when I take it off the flame, I will attach it to my spigot, my water, and run cold water through it to chill the beer down as soon as possible. So the boil has finished, flame is off, and I'm making my final hop addition, which in this case is Citra. And these hops are for aroma. Along with the hops are another addition of fresh herbs. Okay, right now I'm taking a sample of the wort so I can get a specific gravity that's going to tell me how much sugar is in the wort. And I'm going to take this as my starting point, and then when it's finished fermenting, I can then take the ending gravity, and through some different figuring, I can get how much alcohol is going to be in this batch of beer. Okay, so this is my beer being racked out of the pot into my fermentation vessel. I've already taken the gravity. The gravity is 1070, which is pretty decent. So that's where it's going, and that'll get pitched with the yeast and head on down to the fermentation room, aka basement. So there we go. Rock and roll. This is going to go down into the basement for about 2 weeks to ferment, and then I'll rack it off into another carboy to let it age for another couple weeks, and let the sediment drop out, where then I can bottle it. Okay, so it is the morning after brew day. It's been about 15 hours since I brewed this batch, the Saison, Scarborough Fair Saison, and the yeast is doing what it's supposed to do. It's fermenting nicely. It has a nice 2.5
inch krausen, which is the foam that's on top of the wort right now. That is the action of the yeast that's eating the sugar and turning it into alcohol, and then also carbon dioxide. And that action is creating this foamy top, which is called the krausen. And that's a really nice fermentation. And you can see right there where good little action. That's the carbon dioxide that's popping through that airlock, fermentation lock, which doesn't allow anything in, but it allows the gases to go out. So everything's going nicely. This will go on for a few days like this, and then it'll settle down, and the krausen will kind of drop and fall, and then the fermentation process will continue on for a couple of weeks, and then we'll rack it into another container and do a little aging for another couple of weeks to let the beer settle out and finish fermentation. Okay, it is exactly 2 weeks since brew day, and most of the fermentation has slowed down a lot or stopped. So it's time to take another gravity reading and see where we are as far as alcohol level, how much it did actually stop fermenting. By getting this gravity reading, I will know where I'm at fermentation wise. So we start out at 1070. Looks like we're down to about 1011, maybe 1010, which is perfect, just where we want it. So this beer is ready to get racked. I'm going to rack it into another carboy and let it finish, settle out, finish any other secondary fermentation, which isn't much, but if anything left, it'll finish off. Get the beer to settle out. Any particles will fall to the bottom and clear out as much as possible. And after a couple of weeks of that, it's ready to be bottled. Okay, it's bottling day. It's been 4 weeks since I brewed this batch of beer. Fermented for 2. It went into a secondary fermentation for another 2 weeks. It settled out a bit and cleared up. I added some priming sugar to it, and now I'm bottling it up, and it's going to sit for another couple of weeks to carbonate in the bottle. This is my Scarborough Fair Saison. Okay, it's bottling day. I just finished bottling my Scarborough Fair batch of beer, and it's time for a homebrew. So we will have here the batch I bottled last July. Only a couple 6-packs left, and it is getting a little bit close to its prime being done. And it was good back in the winter. Back, 3 or 4 months ago, was a prime. It was really tasting perfectly. This is a grapefruit sculpin. Pretty hoppy. It's got a nice head and a very good beer. Cheers. Oh man, fantastic.
Okay, we're here. We made it to the final entry on this video brew journal. It was just about 2 months ago that we started this with the brew day and went all the way through fermentation and to bottling. And today is the day we're gonna get to taste the fruits of my labor, if I'm being totally cliched. I did, however, cheat a little bit. Generally speaking, when you're bottle conditioning a beer, you want to wait about 2 weeks to let carbonation finish up, or at least get a good start going on before you start opening your beers and tasting them. But I'm always chomping at the bit and really eager to see how things are tasting and coming along. So I cracked one at a week and a half, and believe it or not, it was carbonated nicely and it had a pretty good head. The head did not last long, which is to be expected, but I was liking the taste. So let's get to it and have a taste. It's been 4 weeks since the beer's been bottled, and we'll see how it goes. That's always a good sign. And that's a real good sign. Nice head. And the nose. Oh, the aroma. That smells good. I love the smell of hops. I've always said I could take fresh hops or dry hops, any kind of hops, and stuff them in my pillowcase and sleep on them at night. I love them. Now this is the Scarborough Fair Saison. If you've been following along, and it's got a few different hops in it, and a bunch of fresh herbs. So hey, that's nice. Let's give it a taste. Wow, that's very good. That's very good, and the hops are very prominent, which I like. I'm an IPA person. I like pale ales, IPAs. I like hops, and I brew with a lot of Cascade, Amarillo, Citra, Centennial, typical hops that give you a lot of citrus notes and pininess. If I can get that piney northwestern IPA taste, that's what I'm after. This has a different hop. The beer has, this is Amarillo, Citra, and a new hop, which I feel like I'm tasting something different, and that's the new hop. It is the Sriracha Ace hops I've never used before, and there's a different taste. There's a different component here that I've not tasted in my beers before, and that's either that hop or it's the combination of the hops and the herbs, which the herbs are there nicely. These herbs can be so overpowering, not just in brewing but in cooking. Rosemary and sage in particular. If you overdo them, they can be overpowering, and you don't enjoy the brew in this case, or food if you're cooking with them. They can just take over the whole dish or the beer. This is very subtle but nice. I taste the rosemary, I taste the sage, the thyme. It's a lemon thyme, so which kind of goes along with this beer. Yeah, right off the bat. Now that right there, I'm getting rosemary, but not in a bad way, not in an overpowering way. It's really blending with the hops nicely. I'm liking this beer, and this is the second batch of it. I think I did this back in 2010 or 2012, something like that. I forget. And I remember liking it, and this beer is much better. And we're only 4 weeks after bottling. This beer is going to be wonderful 1 to 2 months down the road, in the end of the summer, into the fall, and even into winter. This beer is going to be in its prime, and I'm going to enjoy this. As long as it lasts, I'm going to really enjoy this beer. It's good, very nice. Well, that is that. Well, if you stuck with this all the way through the session here of this video, it's a long one. It's one of the longest I've done so far. Thank you for that, and thank you for watching. Until next time, cheers.